Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Corcoran Cap special. It is NFL draft season. The draft is this Thursday in Las Vegas, and we're here to bring you a round one mock draft. I'm your host, Sam Corcoran. We have four guests for this show. You see the two guys at the bottom, at Zach Cope, Z-Cope3, Rohit Kannan, 49ers college guy, draft Syracuse, whatever you want to name it. And then to my right, we have Scott Karasik from Around the Block, at Karasik S. Verified on Twitter, wrote for USA Today, Bleacher Report. How are you guys all doing today?
Doing pretty good. It's Karasik.
I'm sorry, that's my fault. I should have asked before. I'm not. That's really unprofessional on me, but yeah, whatever. Apologies, Scott Karasik.
Journalism student, man. Come on.
I know, man. And that's a great way to kick it off. But
it's draft season and the draft's on Thursday. I'm excited.
All right, we're 2 days in a wake up or whatever, as we used to say when I was in college. It's great.
Absolutely. It's a great time for the draft season. And so what we're going to be doing is, as you can see right here, if this loads, I pulled it up on my screen. We have a mock draft simulator. I've done this on my channel before, and we're going to each have every person making every four picks, with the exception of picks 19 and 20. We swapped that for Scott and Zach, so Zach can pick the Steelers, but Rohit's going to have pick 1, 5, 9, etc. I'm going to pick at 2, 6, 10, etc. Zach will be picking 3, 7, etc., all that stuff going forward, and then Scott will be picking 4, 8, going on forth, all the way to pick 32. Should be a lot of fun. Everyone's going to give a breakdown of their pick. We're going to debate the pick a little bit. You guys ready to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Oh.
Perfect. All right, Rohit, kick us off. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Who we picking? And by the way, if you guys need me to scroll down, see any of the players, you're more than welcome to do that.
I mean, this guy has shot up like every draft big board within the past month. I got to go with the edge out of Georgia, Trayvon Walker.
There you go.
Man, he shot up during the season. It wasn't this past month. That jump was from September to January. We're just finding out about it now.
I mean, his draft stock had been rising, but I didn't see the jump until number 1 for about the past month.
I think that's kind of what the media caught on there with, they saw the testing numbers. You know, he didn't really play a lot of edge, which is where he's going to play in the NFL. So people kind of catching on to that, I think, more recently.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the physical skills. I mean, there's not really much to say. So just go with that. Just go with him. You feel me?
Smart.
Absolutely. And Trent Baalke has been hyping this guy up so much, and nobody really knows today. I know Aiden Hutchinson's agent said they don't know if he's going number 1 or not. The last report I heard was that Trent Baalke wanted Trayvon Walker, so I think that's a good pick, Rohit. It's a safe pick.
I mean, it makes sense considering Baalke's track record, height, weight, speed.
Absolutely, yeah, and ACL injuries. But Trayvon Walker didn't have that. You might see a guy later on in the second round. Let's move on to pick 2. That is a pick that I will be making on behalf of the Detroit Lions, and we're going to select Aiden Hutchinson, the edge out of the University of Michigan. This is a guy who has been rumored to the Lions for so long, a Michigan product from the state of Michigan, now playing for his home state team, the Detroit Lions. I think he is probably the safest pick in this draft so far. I think he has a very high ceiling, or very high floor, I should say. Ceiling is to be seen. I think it's a bit lower than some of those guys, but at the end of the day, I think this is a very safe pick, and especially for a Lions team that's rebuilding. You need somebody at pick number 2 who can be a staple on your defense, or it could be a quarterback. We'll see what they go. I think it's too high to take a quarterback. They also have pick 32, which I think could be a good place to take a quarterback. So that's why I'm going Hutchinson here.
I think that's a brilliant pick. Take the hometown guy. Take the best player available. I have a couple other guys on my personal board ranked higher, but I think for Detroit, Aiden Hutchinson will be right up there at the top. Has plus character, has everything you need when you're building a team. And I think his floor is right around where Patrick Kearney used to be with the Falcons, like an 8 to 10 sack guy, great run defense. That's his floor. So that's your floor. You know, you're at least getting a contributor who's going to be a high character team captain for years. Ceiling wise, he could be maybe not JJ Watt, but like a Willie McGinnis type, where he's giving you 15, 16 sacks a year. in his prime.
Yeah, it addresses a need. Yeah, you're getting a guy who's, all I say is, like, I see a lot of Bosa in him. I don't think he's gonna get up there, but a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
I mean, and you got the hometown factor, which, I mean, the fans are gonna love that.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to fall in love with this guy, I think. And I think it's going to be a good pick, a staple to Dan Campbell's defense. But let's move on to pick 3. That is Zach's pick with the Houston Texans. Zach, obviously the draft expert of my podcast, the Corcoran Cap, the normal Corcoran Cap. Zach, what you got here for pick 3?
Yeah, so obviously I've been on the clock since this morning, and I put a lot of thought into this. There's a lot of – I think this is really the most up-in-the-air pick in the top 3, top 5 even. I think that there's a multiple amount of ways you can go here, but really, I'd love to hear your input after this, but I don't think they're going to take a tackle.
I only see one.
I don't think they're going to take a tackle because I think they like Titus Howard there. I don't think they're going to take Thibodeau either. I think they're going to take Sauce Gardner, and I'll tell you why.
Wow.
They signed Steven Nelson to a multi-year deal, and I think they kind of want to build a long-term pairing there at cornerback. You're getting a really high-level guy. He's experienced in man and zone coverage. Lovie Smith obviously runs a Tampa 2, so you're going to see him a lot in cover 2, which can resemble man a little. And I think he's good enough that he can give those man looks. He's going to play well. I think he's a great fit for the Texans at 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good pick. Personally, I think teams are definitely very high on Sauce Gardner. I personally like Stingley a little bit better than him. But overall, what did you say?
That's the way I would have gone. I would have gone Stingley.
Yeah, I would have gone Stingley.
Fair. I do think no matter what, they go corner at 3 is kind of where I'm landing here.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's one of their biggest needs. It's one of their biggest needs, and I don't blame them for going corner. I think you could go corner or offensive tackle or Thibodeau for that matter. The Texans really need everything, and I think overall it's going to work out. You have a defensive-minded coach too, so that's why they might not go tackle.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's valid. But for me personally, that's a great pick. But for me personally, it's like I want to see Houston put faith in Davis Mills. So I really want to see them invest some high capital into offensive line or an offensive weapon.
Oh, don't worry.
Well, I can give you
that for them, and that's what they'll do for themselves too. You'll be fine.
I'll give you my input on this is because they played Titus Howard a lot at guard this year, and I think they like him better at right tackle. You obviously have Tunsil at left tackle, and really the other O lineman. I mean, you're going to take Ekwonu and play him at guard, and he's going to play at a high level. But you have a pick at 13. There might still be a tackle there, or you can get yourself a nice weapon for Davis Mills, and I think that's the route they're going to go later.
Absolutely. There's a lot of options for the Texans to go. 2 first-round picks, something they haven't had in a while. It'll be interesting to see what they do. 4th pick, New York Jets, Scott Karlaftis got it this time. Perfect. I apologize for that again. But let's all right, pick number 4. What you got for the Jets?
So I'm going to go a little off the wall here, I guess, from some, if you haven't been paying attention to the news, but Mekhi Becton wants out. He's not a great fit for the zone blocking scheme, probably a better fit as a guard. I get why he wants out. They brought in Tomlinson, who plays guard. They brought in Vera Tucker last year, guard. They have McGovern, center. They don't really have a right tackle, but if your left tackle wants out and you trade him, go ahead and get ahead of that and replace him right now with Ike Ekwonu. He's the best pure left tackle in the draft. And Icky's the best. Icky's going to sit there, locked down for 10 years, basically do what Jake Matthews is doing in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's been I think Ike Ekwonu right there is the best run blocker in the draft. And Mike LaFleur with the 49ers, they breeded. I mean, he didn't call plays or anything, but he was the run game coordinator for them. And he breeded the 49ers offense through the run. And I think getting a good run blocker, he tried to do that with Mike McGlinchey, getting a good run blocker on the 49ers. Now he's going to have another chance to do that with Ike Ekwonu. So I really do like that pick.
Wait, wasn't Mike LaFleur a passing coordinator?
No, that was McDaniel.
Oh. No, LaFleur was the passing game. McDaniel was the running game.
Did I get that wrong? Really?
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. Well, while you look that up, I'm going to tell you why I like this pick. And I know you gave the point about Mekhi Becton potentially wanting out, and I mean, I can obviously see them trading him. They've had their issues with him. Joe Douglas has his issues with him, character, whatever it may be. Even if you keep a guy like Becton, I think this guy can come in and be a Pro Bowl guard from day one. Or, obviously they have two guards locked down. You can maybe even try Tomlinson at center. I don't know. There's a lot of options he can go. He's a chess piece. And at tackle, I think he has a ways to go pass protection wise, but he's a mean blocker. He's giving you everything you want from this Jets system.
Yeah, no, I love this pick. I mean, the Jets are really trying to do a lot of what the 49ers did in the past. And I think they're making the right choice here with really focusing on a more zone run focused offense. And in terms of the best run blocking tackle in the class, I mean, you got it right there.
He's a hell of a pass blocker too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's
not a knock on his pass blocking.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's a great tackle overall, and the Jets got a great pick at 4, I think is what all matters. Let's move on to the other New York team, the New York Giants. Rohit, you are on the clock with them for their first pick in the top 7. Who are you taking?
Honestly, I think this might be the make or break year for Daniel Jones. I'm pretty sure it is. But give him something up front. Let's go to Evan Neal out of Bama.
There you go.
That I like that pick. I would agree with that.
I mean, am I biased? Yes. But it fits everything that New York needs.
You might be biased, but I have Evan Neal number 1 on my own personal board. So I mean, like he's a dancing bear. Like there's stuff like Jordan Mailata is a good comparison for him. He's just massive and quick and destroys people. It's a great pick. And you take him to make sure Carolina doesn't have the best or even the second best tackle that they can take at 6. You guarantee your tackle there, and you got a couple of pass rushers and other things that you can focus on for 7. So I think it's smart.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's also so much talent still available. You still have Thibodeau, Stingley, Wilson. There's a lot of guys they still can take. And I think you got to get the best out of those guys. And in my opinion, that's Evan Neal.
Yeah. What I like about Neal is, he reads stunts and blitzes so well. He'll pick those up automatically. It's no question for him. But he also played left and right tackle at Bama, which, if you want to keep trying Andrew Thomas at left tackle, you can slot him in right at right. If you want to move Andrew Thomas to the right side, go ahead and slot him in at left tackle. He can really play anywhere for you, which is exactly what New York needs.
So Neal's a lot like Larry Allen, who was originally drafted as a right tackle. Later on in his career, played left guard, played right guard. I mean, he played pretty much everywhere all over the line, except even at left tackle in his career, and was a Pro Bowler at 4 different spots. And that's kind of who I'm comping Evan Neal to, is Larry Allen. So, he's a beast. He's a monster.
Yeah, absolutely. A great pick for the New York Giants right there. One of, if not the best tackle in the class. Moving on to pick 6. This is the Carolina Panthers, and now you're in an interesting situation. You got Kayvon Thibodeau on the board, one of, if not the best players in the class, but you scroll down a little bit. We might have to scroll a while down. Kenny Pickett's available too. Could they go quarterback? They don't have another first-round pick. They would have to trade up if they want to get another guy. I think for now, I'm going to go with Kayvon Thibodeau. I think that defense is one piece away from they're so close to making something happen with that defense. I think you got to go Thibodeau here. You also have Garoppolo still available. You also have Baker Mayfield still available. I think they can make do with one of those guys. So I'm going to take Thibodeau right here. I think that's a bit of a safer pick than Kenny Pickett, and I think they have an absolute beast of a player on their team now.
I mean, you're getting the best player available right now. I think the issue is they need offensive line. Taylor Moton's a good tackle, but I mean, what can you expect out of Brady Christensen? What can you expect out of whatever is Greg Little still kicking? I mean, Charles Cross is right there for you if you want to stay at 6 and not take a quarterback, which I don't think they should. He's, I think, one of the 2 best, if not the best, pass protector in the class. He has a ways to go in run support or in run blocking, excuse me. But He deals with speed rushers extremely well. You know, he plays a little high sometimes, but I think you're getting a day one starting left tackle for the Panthers.
I mean, here's the reason I'm taking Thibodeau right here is you have Brian Burns. I know you have Yader Gross-Matos, I should say, but I just think Thibodeau fitting in next to Brian Burns would be an insane pass rush. And especially you're going up some of the best, like the Buccaneers have some great tackles. The Saints have some great tackles. Falcons, they have a pretty solid O-line. I'm sure, Scott, you can attest to that.
They've got a good left tackle, but their right tackle needs a lot of work. But I'll give you Jake Matthews is good, but the other side is trash.
Yeah, they're going to have to work on that, obviously. And you could see something maybe at pick 8. If Charles Cross is still there, you could see them go with Charles Cross or something. But overall, I just think you cannot go wrong with drafting Kayvon Thibodeau, best player available. I know you have Charles Cross as well, but I just think Thibodeau makes a lot of sense here as well. And I think he's the better player, so that's why I'm going to go with him.
See, I would have gone a different route because sometimes NFL teams do stupid shit, for use of a better word. I don't know if we're supposed to cuss on this channel or not. But,
you're good.
But yeah, NFL teams do stupid shit sometimes. And the Panthers taking Matt Corral with how inept Matt Rule and Scott Fitterer have shown themselves to be. I'm just saying it's not out of the norm for them to do something dumb. And I like
Corral, but not at 6. And I think I could see them taking a quarterback, and I think Corral would be their guy, but I think it's way too early for him, just personally, and I'm sure you guys think the same thing.
I agree, but they don't have a second or third round pick.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing there.
Another trade spot. Obviously, we're not doing trades in this. You could see Carolina trade back with a team like the New Orleans Saints, who traded to get another first-round pick, maybe to move up for another quarterback. We'll have to see what happens there. But pick number 7, back to the New York Giants. This is Zach's pick this time. What you got for the Giants' second pick of the first round?
Thibodeau's off the board. They got their tackle, so I think that really leaves 2 options. You either get an edge or a corner. I think Stingley is the better player than Jermaine Johnson right now. I think they're probably going to go that route, especially if they move on from James Bradbury. So, yeah, I'm going to go Stingley here.
Great pick.
I think there's the potential they move on from Bradbury later in the draft. So this is a great replacement for him.
Yeah, I mean, as we were saying earlier, my best corner in the draft. I know, Scott, you like him a lot. A lot of guys I've heard like Stingley a lot better than Sauce Gardner. So I think that's a very safe pick. The Giants are another team that is kind of a mess. You've got Brian Dable now on your team, who was the offensive coordinator of the Bills. I know you can go an offensive pick right here, but at the end of the day, it's interesting to see. A lot of people have mindsets where the offensive coordinator should make the defensive picks, or the former offensive coordinator, now head coach, should pick defensive players to bolster the side of the ball that he's not familiar with. And then there's other people saying if it's an offensive-minded head coach, he's got to go offensive players, bolster that offense in a rebuild. You could go either way. I think overall I like Stingley a bit better than Jermaine Johnson. There's a lot of options you have. Obviously, they went offensive tackle first. Wide receiver could be another option. I know you have Kadarius Toney, but Kenny Golladay has not really worked out for them. Nice to get a wide receiver too. Daniel Jones, I don't know what his 5th-year option situation is, but his time could be ending in New York soon. So maybe a bit of help for him, but you can't go wrong with Derek Stingley, in my opinion. The best corner in the draft.
I mean, I have him as the number 2 corner in the draft. A lot of times you might hear me say, hey, I think this guy is going to go here, but it's not because I think they're the best player for that spot.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah.
You know, like, because my personal board is a lot different. Like, to me, Jermaine Johnson is the number 2 edge in the draft. He's the number 4 overall player. But a lot of people would be like, oh, that's kind of nuts. But I don't think he's going to go until like 10, anywhere from 8 to 12.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's all over the place for teams.
That's how it works.
100%.
And speaking of all over the place, if your guys are cool with me jumping into the Falcons pick.
Let's do it.
Go for it.
Everything you hear, it's all over the place. Oh, they like wide receiver. People have been focusing on wide receiver. You know why? It's because there's no leaks coming out of Atlanta right now. Whoever runs the Braves has told the Falcons how to keep all the leaks out. And because of that, no one knows what they're doing. They're just like, oh, their wide receiver room sucks, so we're going to give them wide receiver. And they don't scroll down and look at the defensive end depth chart and see, oh, well, there's Lorenzo Carter, last year's 5th-round pick, Ogundeji, and nothing else. So edge is just as big of a need as wide receiver. They have needs pretty much all over the roster. But the spot they don't have locked in, that's the absolute most important spot on the field, is quarterback. Y'all are going to probably judge me for this. I don't care. All the best edges are gone. All the best tackles, which could have also been a pick, are gone. You know, all the guys that I personally had top 10 grades on, gone. All the
Jermaine Johnson's there, I think.
Jermaine Johnson's still there. I was going to say.
Well, this is the caveat with quarterback, all right? You can have a quarterback that's ranked number 11 on your board, and you can have a guy who's ranked number 4. But if you don't have quarterback filled, and you've got a guy ranked in your top 15, and he's there, you take him.
It's so important.
Fair enough.
Even with Mariota as a starter.
To rank him in your top 15. I think the Falcons really, really love Malik Willis. I think if he's there in this kind of situation, and it's not Thibodeau that's the edge that's ahead of him, it's going to be Malik Willis. So that's the pick, Malik Willis.
I like it. I think, in my opinion, Malik. Yeah, totally. In my opinion, Malik Willis is the best quarterback in this class, and they have Marcus Mariota, who's one of the best bridge quarterbacks. I don't think Malik Willis will be ready year one. I think it may be a Trey Lance situation where he has to sit out for a while. He's a very raw prospect, and so are many quarterbacks in this class. I like Malik Willis at 8. I think you see that talent right there. Just an overall phenomenal quarterback. He definitely needs to work on a little bit of stuff. But overall, I think this is a great pick for the Atlanta Falcons, and you can never go wrong taking a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers have been pretty obvious. Like, they reveal their picks every year. They want Malik Willis, and the rumor is they're going to move up to 7 if that's what it takes to get it. Colbert said it at his press conference yesterday. We will move up to 7 to get Malik Willis. Is essentially what he said. He didn't say Malik Willis. But, I think it's a great pick. I personally have him as my number 2 quarterback, but I still think having him sit for a year, you're getting a great player, even if it's not considered a strong QB class. This is exactly what the Falcons need.
Agreed.
Absolutely. All right, Rohith, your time to ruin the Seahawks right now. You're up. What you want for them?
Go Desmond Ritter.
Yes.
The funny thing is, y'all said what I was about to say. Like, I am very high on Desmond Ritter. He honestly had a pretty underrated career at Cincinnati, and I think having him sit behind Locke for a year, I mean, is it kind of like you're punting the season? I mean, kind of. It's Drew Lock. You're kind of punting the season if you have to deal with Drew Lock, but I think Desmond Ritter has the skills to where he can be your guy for the future.
Well, and then next year you can get that Ohio State wide receiver and put him with whoever your quarterback that you draft this year is if you got that top 5 pick. So it's not a bad idea.
It's really not that.
4 names.
But I gotta go with Desmond Ritter. I would have gone with Malik Willis if Willis was still there, but I'm gonna go with my personal QB too with Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. He's ranked pretty high on the Draft Network's big board. And you know what? I wouldn't say he's the second best quarterback available. I think it's Matt Corral, but you know what? Quarterback evaluations are always all over the place. I know as a Niners fan last year, everyone was arguing for Mac Jones. People were arguing for Justin Fields. People were arguing for Trey Lance. Even some people were like, maybe you go one spot up to get Zach Wilson or something.
No.
It's all over the place. And you know what? If that's their guy, I don't blame them one bit for Desmond Ritter, number 9. And I think, while I don't like the pick, I think if that's their guy, I think you're fine with it.
Man, Zach Wilson is trash.
Yeah, maybe the Jets should take a quarterback here. I don't disagree with the pick. The only thing I'm saying is, if they draft Ritter, I think he's very pro-ready. People are saying Kenny Pickett's the pro-ready guy in this draft. I think Ritter is ready to play right now. I think they're gonna start him very early. I'm not saying week 1, but very, very early.
Like week 8, you got to work out some of his kinks with his accuracy. I think part of that is he didn't have the absolute best wide receivers at Cincinnati. Like he had Alec Pierce, who's pretty good, but like even Alec Pierce is like a third or fourth round talent in this year's draft. Like you need a couple guys that are more than third round guys to showcase the kind of arm he has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he's more ready to play than a lot of the guys in this draft, and that's why the Seahawks would take him this high if he's there.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to pick number 10. This is my pick, the New York Jets, and they've been rumored to want Jermaine Johnson all week long at pick 10. I know Doug Douglas kind of alluded to something about that in his press conference recently, and I'm going to give them Jermaine Johnson. I know, Scott, this is your guy. Edge is a big need for them. And I mean, edge is a big need for them. And, Robert Saleh got Nick Bosa. He traded for Dee Ford. He knows how to work those edgers out. And, I mean, you had Karlaftis, went down early in the season. Now you get Jermaine Johnson. I think this is a phenomenal pick for the Jets. And now you have, who do they go? The Ike Ekwonu and Jermaine Johnson. That's a very solid top 10 for them.
Oh, yeah. Build the lines, and then that line has Quinnen Williams, who's like a top 3 or 4 pick, and Carl Lawson, who's pretty dang good, and Sheldon Rankins, who I got tired of him destroying the centers and guards in Atlanta when he was with the Saints. And then you got Jermaine Johnson. I mean, they got a 4-man line that fits that cover 3 principle they want to run.
Yeah. And I think it works out. I mean, Robert Saleh likes to build his defense through the trenches. You've seen it. You saw it with his offseason signings. Even on the offensive line too. I mean, yeah, Jaime says it right here. It's all
this guy gets
about the trenches right there. So yeah, that's how Robert Saleh thinks, and he's going to go with that.
Yeah, that's
absolutely. Fair. All right, let's move on to pick 11. This is the Washington Commanders. Zach, you are up here. What you thinking for them?
Charles Cross here makes it a little tougher, but I think they like Cosme, who they took in the second last year. They like Leno at right. So I think that kind of leaves you with receiver. They want to give Carson Wentz some weapons. The rumor in the media is, Drake London. Let's get Carson Wentz a big receiver like Michael Pittman. I'm going to go – I think Garrett Wilson here is a little surprising. I think we're going to go with Garrett Wilson, but if it had not been Garrett Wilson, I probably would have gone either London or Olave. I think they do go receiver here, though.
Yeah, it's a pretty big fall for Garrett Wilson. Usually out of all the receivers, he's been the top guy there on most boards. I really like Garrett Wilson a lot. And the Ohio State receivers have been killing it recently. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. I'm blanking on the guy's name next year, but I think he's even better than both of those guys, in my opinion.
Smith-Njigba.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. That guy's a monster. Will be a first-round pick next year. But Garrett Wilson is a very solid. 100%.
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson.
Smith-Njigba is like Julio Jones, Jamar Chase, AJ Green, Larry Fitzgerald type.
He's going to come in and be an all-pro year.
Andre Johnson level.
Yeah.
That level.
Oh, yeah. That's can't miss receiver. Yeah.
100%.
And very high praise.
Absolutely. And I think Garrett Wilson's a really good wide receiver 2 option next to Terry McLaurin. Wentz is going to need some targets. I agree with you, Zach, that they really like Cosme. I was very high on Cosme last year, and I was surprised that he fell that far. And I'm surprised that Garrett Wilson fell this far as well. So we're going to go with Garrett Wilson here. I like the pick a lot, Zach.
I'm not as high on Garrett Wilson. I think he's wide receiver 5 or even 6 in this draft.
Interesting.
I like London. I like Jameson better. But this is the year of the wide receiver 2, I feel like. All these guys that are being talked about as first top number 1 guys, first-round picks, they've got ceilings that are like Keyshawn Johnson or Calvin Ridley. Like, that's what we're seeing out of them. We're not seeing true, again, Julio, Calvin level guys this year. So
yeah,
you don't have one of those in this year's draft. It's whatever.
100%. I think it's not the deepest wide receiver class, but at the end of the day, I think it's still a solid pick. Let's move on to pick number 12. That is the Minnesota Vikings. That's Scott's pick right there. Scott, what you going with?
So the hope here for the Vikings was maybe Jermaine Johnson just kind of slips through the cracks a little bit, ends up being that guy that he's just, oh man, that's available. Now it's like, all right, well, what's here? What do we need? What would look good in our defense? We've got a free safety with, Harrison Smith. We've got a solid enough, defense to where if we take a safety here that's a true playmaker, we can let Harrison kind of go back to his more roaming role. I think Kyle Hamilton's got to be the pick. He's one of the best players in the draft.
That's exactly what I was. That's exactly what I would have done too.
Yeah, like it's the pick to make. Like pairing Kyle Hamilton with Harrison Smith in the back end, you got some solid corners and Pat Peterson and Cameron Dantzler. So now they've got some protection behind them. Daniil Hunter, Zadarius Smith, Kendricks and Hicks in the middle. Like it's just a good overall defense. Maybe you go with a bigger defensive lineman like Jordan Davis here as like a kind of throw him off pick. So you can have like Davis in the middle, Tomlinson, and then like Harrison Phillips because they are moving to that 3-4. Mm-hmm. But even then, like you're going to get more value. You're going to get a lot more snap count out of Kyle Hamilton playing 1,000 snaps in a year than you are going to get out of Jordan Davis playing 300.
Yeah, totally. I think Kyle Hamilton, in my opinion, is a top 10 player. And I think the safety is Minnesota's biggest need. I think it's pretty simple that you need a safety, the best safety in the draft's available, top 10 talent. I think you take him. In my opinion, it seems like a pretty simple pick. Obviously, they have other needs. You could go bolster the interior line maybe a little bit. They do have a few other needs here and there. But overall, I think Kyle Hamilton is a phenomenal pick.
All their biggest needs, though, are things that if you take in the first round, you're getting a premium player. But if you take it in the second and third round, you're still getting a likely starter who can help that team. So that's why you feel comfortable taking just the best player on the board. And in that case, it's Kyle Hamilton, the biggest playmaker, the next Cam Chancellor, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to the Texans' second pick of the draft. First one was made by Zach. Rohit, you are making this one. Who are you going with?
I honestly think this one's a no-brainer. Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State.
What?
I like it.
Over London or JMO? I don't get that one, bro.
For me, here's the thing. I'm not Trent Baalke. I am very conservative when it comes to injuries. Like, I think when it's all said and done, I feel like you still probably get a higher ceiling with Williams or London, but the ACL with Jameson Williams and the fractured ankle with Drake London, both is kind of having like, man, I love the talent, but that kind of scares me. So for me, it's give me the guy who has slightly less devastating injuries.
I give
you something relatively decent.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and say I'm not a huge fan of Drake London, but I think he should be the pick here. Considering I think Jameson Williams is more of a slot initially. He could probably play some Z. I think Olave's a Z. I don't think Brandon Cooks is an X. I think Drake London does bring that to your team. He's kind of that big guy you can send him downfield. He does a little bit underneath. I like his fit on that team, even though I don't particularly love him as a player. I don't dislike Olave. I just don't know if I love his fit with the Texans.
That's a very valid critique. For me, it's just the injuries just scare me.
That's fair.
I think you can see. I think Brandon Cooks is one of the most underrated receivers in football, and I think the Texans really do want to use him as a wide receiver one. And I think, you can improve on that. I personally do like Olave a bit over Drake London. I think Jameson Williams is probably better than Olave in my opinion, but the ACL is obviously a major concern. I think Olave, he was going to be a first-round pick last year too, probably. Maybe a second, but he was close to being a first-rounder last year. This year, it's the same thing. And I don't think it's a bad pick at all. I think it really depends on your stance at where the wide receiver rankings are. I think it's kind of all over the board. I know, Scott, you said Garrett Wilson was your wide receiver 5. I know a lot of people have him as wide receiver 1. So it's kind of all over the board. And I think you're going to see that with this class. Wide receivers, Jameson Williams would not be surprised if he's a top 10 pick. And some guy loves him that much. It's going to be very interesting.
It wouldn't surprise me either.
Somebody's going to love him, you know? And the NFL draft is always very unpredictable. So having a couple wild cards in there does make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens at pick 14. And this is where it starts to get interesting. This is the first pick where it's not necessarily obvious at this point. I think you could go interior line, and I think that's the biggest need for the Ravens. But at the same time, I think right tackle is a bit of a mystery right now. You have Ronnie Stanley. Also, I believe he's coming off an injury, if I'm correct about that.
You have Morgan Moses and Juwan James at right tackle, though.
They got Morgan. I saw the depth chart. Wait, yeah, I think they have Morgan.
They do have Moses. I think James was there.
Juwan James
didn't really play.
Yeah, Juwan James didn't really play last year. Morgan Moses, I know they just signed him. You could go offensive tackle here. It's hard with Charles Cross available. I think it could work out. I think it's really between that or interior line. I know you got Morgan Moses right there, and I think you just signed him. I think you might as well trust him, and that's why I was going to go interior line right here. And looking at the interior lineman, I know you have Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green. I'm going to go with the best center in this class, Tyler Linderbaum right here. I think center's their biggest need. I know it's a bit of a reach on this board, but I think they need a center, and they're going to get the best one available right here in Tyler Linderbaum.
The only thing I'll say that might make a little bit of a difference, Linderbaum's a great pick. He's definitely a need pick for them. A lot of times the Ravens will make a pick out of nowhere, and you'll be like, why did they take him? And then 2 years down the line, that guy's a two-time Pro Bowler, franchise cornerstone guy. They didn't really need a safety when they took Ed Reed.
That's really basically what Patrick Queen from 2 years ago?
Huh?
Isn't that basically Patrick Queen from 2 years ago?
I mean, they did need a linebacker at the time.
Yeah, but Patrick Queen was just out of nowhere in terms of who else was on the board.
Yeah, so that's the thing. They may have a guy that's way higher on their own board, but they're like, this guy's going to be a 15-year All-Pro for us. And Linderbaum's basically the next Matt Burke, so screw it. Let's throw him right in there.
Here's my only critique of Linderbaum is you look at I just don't think many teams, and I'm not saying the Ravens won't, every case is unique, but a lot of teams you look at last year do not value the center position very highly. You look at a guy like Creed Humphrey, who is such a polished center prospect. His only real red flag was he was a lefty, which, how much of a red flag is that really? And he went at the tail end of the second round. So I do think Linderbaum falls a little. He has a scheme fit, but I think if a team likes him and he's a very polished guy, the Ravens could take him at 14.
Well, then you also have to look at teams like the Colts, who took Ryan Kelly 14th overall because he was that damn good. And that's the thing. Linderbaum's that damn good. And as a former wrestler, he's going to have the leverage. He's going to have the power that he needs and the anchor that he needs to take down guys that are a good 40 to 60 pounds heavier than him on average. He'll be able to handle that one-on-one nose tackle. Not a lot of centers can, and it really opens up things in your pass protection when you got that. So you want to have that guy who can do that, and he's one of the few that can. So I get the pick. I like the pick. Value-wise, it feels like it's a little bit of a reach, but I'm really high on Linderbaum myself. So I was going to say that would be a good pick. Or maybe if they go defense, take like Jordan Davis, who's a little bit of a freak fit. And they may not need a nose tackle, but they didn't need one. They took Haloti Ngata. And that's where I was going with that. But same kind of concept.
I mean, do you think there might be an outside chance that Baltimore actually trades down on draft day?
I think there's
would
a
not
high
be
chance
surprised.
down.
I think they totally could. Let's move on to pick 15, the Philadelphia Eagles. Zach, this is your pick, I believe. What you want to do with the Eagles right here?
My thought originally was, how he loves to draft his defensive linemen, get Jordan Davis. But, I mean, the way this board has fallen, tackle is not a need for them. But the Eagles love to have backup offensive linemen that are eventually going to cycle in. And Lane Johnson is not getting any younger. So I think if Charles Cross is there for them, they draft him. He'll eventually play right tackle for them. I mean, you have Mailata at left. They drafted Andre Dillard a couple years ago to play left for them, but Mailata ended up working out a little bit better. I think Cross is who they would go with. They would jump at the bit to draft Charles Cross.
Yeah, and I think it's the fact that he's fallen this far has been it's honestly kind of crazy. I know I talked about it with Baltimore right there. I know they got Morgan Moses. I think he could be better than Morgan Moses, which is why I was considering it a little bit. But at the end of the day, I would not be surprised if Philadelphia did this. They do like having their backup tackles. Lane Johnson, you've heard considering retirement, all this stuff right here. And overall, I think Charles Cross is a great pick. I don't think you can ever go wrong with an offensive lineman who has fallen to you on the board. Look what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did with Tristan Wirfs. How did that work out? Phenomenally.
The only thing I'll say about the Charles Cross pick is maybe he doesn't play right tackle, but he plays left guard, because from my understanding, he's left-handed. And when a guy,
that's fair. I don't really see him. I'm going to let you finish, but I don't really see him as a guard. I'm sure the Eagles, their scouting staff could see him differently, and they do have a need at guard. So maybe he starts out at guard, transitions to tackle. There's a lot of things they could do with him, and he's the best player on the board right now.
Oh, completely agree. He needs to work on his run blocking as well. So I think if you started him out at guard with the idea like, hey, you're going to be behind Dickerson for a year, and when Kelsey retires, because Kelsey's a little older than Johnson, when Kelsey retires, Dickerson's going to slide to his natural center spot. You play guard until we find someone, or Mailata moves over to the right side, and we'll put you back at tackle. I think that's going to be the kind of natural progression for him. And Philly in practice does cross-train their guys through different positions. So that would be an interesting thing for them to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to Scott's pick at 16. I know you tweeted about ruining the Saints. You're going to have 2 chances to do that. What's your first chance for this?
Well, I want to ruin them, but now the board looks great for them, which
it does. I was going to say, you can't really ruin them at this point.
The good news is there's not really a true left tackle outside of Penning left, so it kind of makes that pick a little more zoned in. But they could also go with a wide receiver here that's kind of opposite of what Slant Boy does. So, it's really tough to – you guys know who Slant Boy is, right? All right.
Yeah, of course.
He runs a slant. That's all he does. He's the best in the league at it, but he does it 1,000 times a season, and people think he's great. Anyway, so you can find a wide receiver that can do more than what he does, or you can take your left tackle, because after Penning, there's really not a left tackle for a good minute. There's really not another left tackle, really, if we're talking.
So in other words, it's a question of luxury versus need. And you
can't
really
go
wrong with
luxury.
either.
They lost Teron Armstead this offseason. They need a left
tackle.
tackle.
I'm talking about wide receiver being a luxury, not left tackle.
That's also a huge need.
Wide receiver is also a huge need.
Yeah.
So the question is, which need do I hit first? And if I'm the Saints, I go Trevor Penning. Personally,
I like that pick.
Love it.
I don't love Penning, but he can eventually be that starting left tackle for them. They have one of the best O-line coaches out there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think Trevor Penning is one of he's such a good tackle in my opinion. Obviously from a small school, so you're going to it's going to be a bit raw. I know you had who's the guy that Buffalo took last year at right tackle who is just a phenomenal run blocker. Whoever it was, it was Spencer something. I forget.
Spencer Brown, also out of Northern Iowa.
Yeah, I was going to say Northern Iowa. This is another run blocker they absolutely breeded. And I think I like this pick a lot. I know New Orleans they've been using the run a decent bit. Obviously, sometimes you see Taysom Hill. Alvin Kamara, I don't know what his legal situation is looking like, but that could pan out. They could use a good running back. They usually know what they're doing at running back. So I'm not too worried about that. I know they have a new coach this year, but I think Trevor Penning's a great left tackle. And if you need a run blocker, I think you got it in Trevor Penning.
Yeah, completely agree.
Absolutely. Let's move on to pick 17. That is Rojas' pick. You're picking for the Los Angeles Chargers. Who are you going with? It's an interesting pick right here for a team
realistically
on the cusp.
Realistically, in my opinion, I could see the Chargers trading down.
Yes.
I could genuinely
100%.
If not even almost completely trading all the way out. Like I could see that too. But that one's a bit
I think
more
they'd like
unlikely.
Penning here, honestly, at right tackle, but obviously
But
he's
Penning
gone.
just won the pick before. So
Yeah.
you know what? Let's kind of go with an athlete who may or may not be a scheme fit, but the physical upside, I think it's worth it. Jordan Davis, defensive line, Georgia.
Not a scheme fit. What are you talking about?
I'm saying it might not be, it might be, but for me, it's the athleticism. Give me the athleticism.
They need a nose tackle, and he's like the prototype. Throw him in he's the Kool-Aid man. Like, he's a nose tackle. He's what the Kool-Aid man is shaped like as a human. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say
to run through a wall.
I was gonna say they run a 3-4 scheme, and Jordan Davis is a nose tackle, and he's the best one in the class. If you need a nose tackle, you get your guy. Who they used this year? It was who's the guy from the Vikings? I'm flanking out. Oh, Linval Joseph was the guy.
Joseph.
Yes, Linval Joseph.
But Jordan Davis next to Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the other side, unless Khalil Mack stands up.
And Tillery playing the 3 technique next to him. Like, he opens everybody else up.
Yeah.
AFC West, good luck.
My thing is, I don't think he plays every down right away. I don't think he's got a lot of run or of a pass rush capability in him. But you can get that out of him, and if you can get that out of him, he's a Pro Bowler every year. You look at Vita Vea, I think he brings just a build you never see.
If Davis becomes a 3-down player, we're looking at
like
all
that,
pro.
That's an all pro every year.
He's at 335 or 340 his entire career. He'll be able to play 80, not 90%, but probably 70% of the snaps, which for a defensive tackle is a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of snaps, and I think Jordan Davis, one of, if not probably the best defensive tackle in this class, and I like this pick a lot, and I think he's a fantastic.
I'd go as far as to say he's probably the best athlete in this draft, just flat out.
He's a 10 RAS at defensive tackle. He ran a faster 40 at 350 pounds than J.J. Watt ran at 290. That's all I know. He's a beast.
He's an absolute beast right there. Let's move on to pick 18, the Philadelphia Eagles. And I am tempted to take a wide receiver here. I know they took Rager, they took Devontae Smith, but why not pair Devontae Smith with Jameson Williams again? I think this, and you have Jalen Hurts too as your quarterback. Now, I don't think Jalen Hurts actually played with Jameson Williams, if I'm correct, but I think it's an overall. He's the best player on my board right now. The Eagles have had wide receivers troubles in the past, and they love speed a lot. Jameson Williams brings that speed aspect. You took an offensive tackle earlier. Why not do it again? They made the playoffs last year, and now you have like one of the most stacked receiving corps in this league. One of the most stacked offenses in this league, and I think, especially against an NFC East where the defense is lacking. I know Washington could get it going. Dallas they did have a good defense this year. Dan Quinn staying was huge for them. Giants, not really, but I think the Eagles offense will match up very well against the NFC East defense. And I'm going to go Jameson Williams here. I think it's a great pick, and I don't think you can go wrong with the best player on my board.
I agree.
Just to kind of go back to the point where you're saying, Hurts was there from 19 to 21. So he had Tua in 19, Mack in 20, Bryce Young in 2021.
Well, Williams was only
there.
That
part is, you know what that proves? Jameson Williams is quarterback proof.
No, Jameson Williams was only there for 1 year.
Yeah.
He was at Ohio State. He was a transfer portal steal.
My one criticism with this is, I mean, Drake London. I don't like Drake London. Drake London is right there, and the Eagles do not have that size at receiver.
But here's the thing: maybe they don't want the size at receiver.
That's
They're
fair.
a speed type of team.
You tried that with Arcega-Whiteside, and you tried that with other guys in the past. But
and now
I don't think
Arcega-Whiteside's a tight end.
A tight end, yeah. I don't think London and Whiteside are comparable at all. I don't disagree with the Williams pick. I think he's a great player. I just think London's right there for them, and they might like London.
I feel that. I mean, they've gone speed historically, so I'm going to stick with that for now. I know Drake London's right there. I also personally do like Jameson Williams a little bit better than Drake London, but we'll take it right there. Let's move on to pick 19 now. That is Scott's pick. We're swapping pick 19 and 20, so Zach can pick the Steelers. Scott, what you got here?
Well, you got to get slant boy running mate, and Drake London's right there. So
I was gonna say
pretty standard, simple, easy pick for them. When they had Penning and they had 2 picks in between them, you knew that the Chargers were going to go tackle if Penning was there. So you had to take Penning, otherwise your tackle wasn't going to be there at 19. You had to hope one of the teams in between you didn't take a wide receiver, and you probably don't think the Chargers are going to do that. So, yeah, you lose one of those guys to the Eagles. So you take Drake London. You got towers of power. You got 2 tall, strong receivers who can play the outside. You may not have a guy who can burn a defense, but you got possession guys who fit for a quarterback in Jameis Winston, who he doesn't exactly have good ball control, so he needs those high radius guys like Drake London and like Mike Thomas.
Exactly, yeah.
Go get that ball and make him look better than he is, the way Mike Evans and Chris Godwin did.
Mm-hmm.
He's Mike Evans. That's what he is when you take him.
No,
that's what he's going to be in the. I'm not saying he is Mike Evans, but in this
Keyshawn.
offense, he is the Mike Evans equivalent in this offense.
Yeah, the Mike Evans equivalent. He's Keyshawn Johnson though.
I don't think he's going to be as good as Mike Evans. I don't like Drake London as a receiver. I don't really have a very high first round grade on him, but I do think he fits that role in this offense.
Yeah,
I agree.
He's a number 2 guy. He's not a number 1, but the Saints don't have to worry about that. They have their number 1.
Yep.
Even if I don't think that he's truly a number 1 anyway, but I think he's a volume most new. Sorry. Last thing I'll say about Mike Thomas.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. All right. Pick 20. Zach, this is where your Steelers make the pick. I have a feeling where you're going here. Am I going to be right?
Quarterback. They're taking quarterback. The issue with this is I like a guy. The 2 guys the Steelers really like are off the board. They want Malik Willis or Desmond Ritter. So that leaves 3 guys. You got Pittsburgh's own Kenny Pickett, who I actually don't think they take, and you got Sam Howell and Matt Corral. Matt Corral's my personal highest graded quarterback. But I mean, it's really tough for me between Corral and Howell. I'll tell you why I don't think they take Pickett. First off, Canada's looking for a really, really, an athletic quarterback. And I think Kenny brings a little bit of that to you, but he wants a guy that can really move. And then Tomlin and Colbert kind of hit on the 2 things they're looking for. They're looking for accuracy and a really competitive spirit. And I think Sam Howell kind of fits that mold, but I'm going to go with Matt Corral.
I like it. That's where I was going.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You talked a lot. You've really got me on the Matt Corral train this draft, Zach. And I think that's probably the best fit for the Steelers. If they're looking for a Desmond Ritter, Malik Willis type of guy, I think Matt Corral is the best guy to get next to them. So I really like this pick a lot.
I think Matt Corral is basically Ryan Tannehill as a ceiling, but that's a whole other.
Which isn't bad, I don't think.
I don't think it's good, but I think you look at Kenny Pickett and you have
it's
Kirk
the new
Cousins
modern Andy Dalton, barely good enough to get you to the playoffs, but never going to win you a championship level quarterback.
The question is who in this draft is bringing you there, and the Steelers they made themselves clear they are taking a quarterback in this draft. Yeah. So who out of the remaining guys do you take? Do you take the guy who might be Baker Mayfield one day and Sam Howell? You take the guy who might be Kirk Cousins one day and Kenny Pickett, or the guy who really only played in an RPO system in college. So, he has a little bit more of an upside, a little bit more to work with.
And that's fair.
100%. Totally feel that. Let's move on to pick 21. The New England Patriots try to breeze through these last 12 picks. We're almost an hour into the show. Making this pick is Rohith. Who you got for the Patriots?
I think 2021 showed that the entire Patriots organization has faith in Mac Jones as the guy. So, want to give him a weapon to work with, then give me the combination of height, weight, speed. Treylon Burks, wide receiver, Arkansas.
I like it. I think that's a pretty good pick right there. Treylon Burks is, he's a great combination of all what you asked for in a receiver. And you also have Green Bay sitting at 22. So Green Bay could very much take a receiver. You definitely want to be ahead of them. Take a guy who I think they could have taken at 22 in Treylon Burks. And I like the pick a lot. I know Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar is no longer. No, he is on the.
He's there for another 3 years.
Yeah, he is on the team. My bad. I for some reason I thought he was a Raiders 2020, Patriots 2021. How to remember that? But yeah, they're both on the team. Had decent years, but you really need a true alpha receiver. And out of all the receivers available that we look at, I think Treylon Burks is the guy who can be that alpha if they need one.
See, I would have gone a slightly different way. I would have gone with Zion Johnson, protect your quarterback. Yeah. But either way, you're making the right move.
I think I like Burks. I like Burks as a fit. I think he does a lot of things. You look at, they get him the ball underneath a lot at Arkansas, and you can also put him downfield. The one thing I would think is, do the Patriots see him as another N'Keal Harry? I know they're not similar players, but similar build. Do you worry that? I don't know. It's my only question about that.
He's got better football IQ than N'Keal Harry.
I think they wanted a guy who N'Keal Harry was in college. Obviously, N'Keal Harry didn't pan out to the NFL, and I think this is their second shot with Treylon Burks. Let's move on to pick 22, the Green Bay Packers. And, you hear it all the time. Wide receiver is their biggest need. And if you look at the wide receivers, there's a lot of good guys there. You have Jahan Dotson, you have Sky Moore, Christian Watson, George Pickens, even David Bell. A little bit of a sleeper right there. But let's go back to the big board real quick, because there's a guy on this big board who I am very high on. And if this loads really quickly, I'll say who it is. It's George Karlaftis out of Purdue. He's fallen a lot. He's an edge rusher. They lost to Darius Smith. And I think they're going to need another edge to replace him. So I think Karlaftis could be the guy there, the best one available. And there's a decent drop-off after that. So why not take Karlaftis here?
And the good news is the Packers still have another first-round pick.
Yeah, you got another first-round pick to take a receiver, so why not?
They do. Exactly. Yeah. That was I'm thinking.
And the Packers love having a third edge in there. You look at when they took Rashawn Gary very early a few years ago. Now Rashawn Gary's kind of that edge one, edge two. So, Karlaftis is kind of that rotational guy until, he eventually steps into Preston Smith's role.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Karlaftis overall – or go ahead, sorry. Or that was my echo. Karlaftis overall, I think I've seen him mocked in top 10 before. To get him at 22, a lot of teams are going to think that's a steal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's move on to 23. Now we're back in the real order. Zach, who you taking for this?
Before I make this pick, I just want to point out that Devin Lloyd is still here. I don't know how far he's going to fall, but I like him earlier than this. Trent McDuffie is still here. The Cardinals are going to take Trent McDuffie if he's sitting right here. They got another Washington guy in Byron Murphy a couple years ago. He's kind of a slot guy. And, people will say McDuffie's kind of got that slot size, but the Cardinals are kind of needy at corner. And I think he's kind of got the ability to play outside, play in their scheme. So I like McDuffie here. If he's not here, maybe a Devontae Wyatt.
He could play inside or outside. So I like that McDuffie pick. Like he's a all around good corner. So it makes sense.
I mean, I'd say it fits.
Yeah, I think it's a good fit right there. They just need guys who can work or who can be versatile in that secondary. Byron Murphy, you can pair him up, former Washington teammates right there. So I think it's a good pick. I think it'll be good. So yeah, let's move on to pick 24. Scott, this is your pick. Who you going at 24 for the Cowboys? Lots of needs here for them, according to here, but not many in my opinion. But it's going to be an interesting pick.
There's a lot of different ways you can go. Do they need a safety? Probably. Do they need corner? Yes. Do they? I know they've got Trevon Diggs. Trevon Diggs is good-ish as a cover guy, but a great playmaker. So you want to have a guy across from him who's going to be a great cover guy, just a great all-around, can handle anybody. I think Andrew Booth makes sense. He's more of that lockdown cover corner than playmaker. So it lets you funnel all those throws to Trevon Diggs and let him make plays on the ball. And that's the way I would go. I'm going Andrew Booth.
I like that. Now, I want to ask you a question, Scott. I've heard a lot of people call Andrew Booth the biggest bust in the draft. Do you agree with that or no?
I think it depends on what you're looking at him for. Is he going to be a guy who's going to get 10 picks in a season? Is he going to be a guy who's going to be a huge playmaker, knocking away a lot of balls, maybe, but he's not a ball hawking, pass deflected kind of guy. He's a guy who locks down his guy so the ball's not even thrown his way. And Dan Quinn loves those kind of corners, as I saw through 6 years in Atlanta. Andrew Booth fits. He is a Dan Quinn style corner. He is going to lock down his guy. He's going to play more like Desmond Trufant did here, and may not be the best of all-around corner, but he's going to be worth the 24th overall pick, and that's all you really need to worry about. He's going to start there for 8 years, 9 years.
Exactly. And I think the Cowboys they're honestly a pretty decent team at evaluating talent. I know a lot of people talk a ton of smack to them, but at the end of the day, I do think Jerry Jones is a great player at evaluating talent. And if he likes Andrew Booth, I think it's probably going to be a decent pick. Let's move on to pick 25, the Buffalo Bills. Rohit, your second to last pick. Bills, who are they taking here?
Again, this is another team that I can see trading down. Mm-hmm. But personally, I actually don't have any idea as to how I want to go with this pick, because the Bills are a pretty solid team.
What's one big hole you see on the Bills?
Honestly,
like right in their backfield.
You mean running back?
Yeah, that's I agree. The running back's probably their biggest hole.
Running back is a pretty big hole, but
running back in the first.
I am not touching running back in the first round with a 50-foot pole.
But that's the thing. Like, if you're drafted for the Bills, Brandon Beane himself came out and said, "Hey, we are not opposed to taking running back in the first." And that might be smoke, but it doesn't really sound like smoke because no one else is going after a running back.
Well, what about the defensive backfield?
Ooh. The problem is I'm not overly well versed in terms of AFC teams.
You have Tre'Davious White.
Dane Jackson as a starter on one side, across from Tre'Davious White.
I was gonna say you definitely do need a cornerback too on that team.
Corner is where I would go, but man,
is there a corner you like?
Honestly, a lot of the corners that I really like have kind of already gone pretty high.
I think there's one guy.
Honestly, I think. Ooh.
There's one guy I really like.
I gotta go with Kyler Gordon out of Washington.
That's who I was thinking.
I don't mind that pick.
I was gonna go with Tariq Woolen out of UTSA. I know Zach, you're very high on him, but back to back corners right there.
I think Alontae Taylor. I don't think he's gonna be a first round pick. I'm higher on Taylor than Woolen. And McCreary is a good man corner, but I do like the Gordon pick here a lot.
Yeah,
I think it's a good pick as well.
I'm not very well versed in AFC, especially like the AFC East, so that's
don't blame you.
Spots. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna throw a shot in the dark here.
Don't blame me. I think it's a good pick though. I think it fits their need. They need a cornerback too next to Tre'Davious White, and they get it in Kyler Gordon. I think it's as simple as that. Let's move on to pick 26 now, and this for me is a very easy pick. The Titans they lost Rashaan Evans this offseason, their middle linebacker. Devin Lloyd has somehow fallen to them. They're going to take Devin Lloyd. I think. Can you guys agree with me that if Devin Lloyd is available at 26, he will probably go?
Lloyd and Cunningham together would be a really fun pairing, actually.
Absolutely, no, I don't. I think I don't really need to speak much on this pick. Devin Lloyd, the fact that I've seen this guy in the top 10. The fact he's fallen to 26 is ridiculous. Probably the best middle linebacker in this draft. So I'm 100% taking him at 26.
Considering everything else, he's probably the best value pick we've had so far in the first round.
I think the Titans love to blitz their inside linebackers. You look at Rashaan Evans, you look at Jayon Brown over the past few years. Devin Lloyd's going to be great at that with Zach Cunningham. I think he's a perfect fit for this team.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a fantastic fit for this team, and I really like Devin Lloyd here, especially falling to them pretty far. Works out really well. 27, let's finish this up. We have 6 more picks left. Zach, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what you thinking for them?
Zion Johnson.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's another pretty obvious pick right there.
Yeah.
Teams think he can play center. They lost Ryan Jensen. He'll play center for them. Maybe he'll play guard, replace Kappa. Either or, he's going to be a great player.
They lost Ali Marpet. They lost Ali
Marpet,
also
lost
too.
Well, they replaced Marpet with Shaq Mason.
Shaq Mason, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like Zion Johnson a lot. I think a lot of people are saying mid-first rounder, late first rounder makes some sense right there as well. So I mean, those are two back-to-back no-brainers right there.
Slot him right in there at left guard, man, right next to Jensen, and then
exactly
have Stewie come up the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Or
absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, Scott, 28. The Green Bay Packers. I took edge for them this time. I know we talked about wide receiver. Are you going to go that route this time?
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a shit fit if we don't draft him a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think he's going to basically put a hex on whoever the GM is. Looking at Aaron Rodgers.
What if you assume he hasn't already done that?
And he probably has. But Aaron Rodgers, best receivers in history. Tall, fast, can catch.
I know where you're going with this.
Can destroy a defense and have an attitude. I mean, who does that sound like to all of y'all?
Christian Watson.
George Pickens.
George Pickens.
Really? Okay. I don't blame you for that.
I knew where you were going with that. I think Christian Watson is more of a Marquez Valdez-Scantling type of guy. That's the comp you see a lot for him. George Pickens has the makings of a number one receiver over anyone else in this class.
And he's nasty. He's nasty with his hands. He can catch everything thrown to him. He's one of those guys that gets away with those subtle push-offs too. He knows that little subtlety in the game, which goes a long way in the NFL.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yep.
I think Watson and him. I know Pickens. Probably, I definitely have Pickens higher right there. When I think of tall, it's probably the Niners bias getting to me. I know a ton of Niners fans have been very high on Christian Watson. So when you said tall, when you said fast, I looked at Christian Watson immediately. Yeah. But George Pickens, I think is the better pick.
And I'm not.
Sam and I were on the same wavelength there. Tall, fast hands.
If Pickens never got hurt, he would be the first wide receiver off the board. I don't think that's a debate.
Yeah,
because Pickens has that ceiling that the Calvin Johnsons and Julio Jones of the world have. He just doesn't have the injury history and the play on the field with the right quarterbacks. Because, I mean, who have his quarterbacks been? Stetson Bennett. He sucks.
Yeah. I mean, the mailman.
Well, we lost to
JT Barrett for 3 games.
I know.
We lost to him.
Yeah, exactly. All right, final four. Everyone has 4 picks left. Rohit, you kick it off. Back-to-back Chiefs picks. I have the second one. You have the first one. Who are they taking?
I mean, obviously, you got to find a way to replace Tyreek Hill. So you got to go wide receiver. But the question is, which one do you want to go for? And honestly, if Pickens was still there, this was 100% going to be Pickens. But this is going to be another one of my flyers. Sky Moore, Western Michigan.
I think that's a solid pick.
I was about to suggest him if you want like a fast, speedy yak kind of guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Sky Moore was the guy I had my eyes on for this one as well. I probably would have taken him at 30 if you didn't go receiver as well. So I completely agree with this pick. Seems like we all do. So let's move on to their second pick. Let's go to, I mean, you have some edges at cornerback. You could go running back. No one's really high on the running back. It's also the Chiefs. But let's go to cornerback. You know, you lost. I mean, I know I like L'Jarius Sneed. Rashad Fenton's pretty good. I think Tariq Woolen, I think he fits the system really well. Versatile guy, in my opinion. I'm going to take him right here. I am very high on him. I like what he did at UTSA. Love what he did there, I should say. My opinion, I also think Khair Elam is a fantastic pick here. But I'm going to go Woolen. I think he can play outside or slot. I've seen him do a little bit of both. So I like that right there, and I'm going to take him at 30. You need a versatile guy to pair with Fenton and Sneed. You lost Charvarius Ward to the 49ers, so let's go Woolen here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You got to find a way to replace Charvarius Ward.
Absolutely. Scott, Zach, thoughts on that pick?
Woolen's got a high upside. I just think Daxton Hill screams Chiefs. You can play him in the slot, play him outside a little. He can blitz, which they love to do with their defensive backs. I think Daxton Hill has Chiefs written all over him.
I was thinking more Lewis Seen as the true free safety. Yeah. You know, smart guy, gets everybody aligned, knows the field, knows his team, knows the other team.
I mean, the reason that I didn't go safety, you have one Thornhill. You just signed Justin Reed. I think they want to put a little bit in trust of those guys first, which is why I'm going with Tariq Woolen. I think you got to put cornerback a little bit. You haven't invested too much in that position yet. Now is your time to make a big investment. Let's move on to pick 31. Zach, this is your pick, your last pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, the AFC champions. Who you got for this one?
There's two big options for me here, and I'm gonna lean towards the second one. I think Kenyon Green being here this late. They need a guard. I mean, they got Kappa. I think they're gonna be fine with their offensive line, but I think he's a good fit. And then
it's all about the trenches. You can't have enough.
Yeah.
I think Jackson Carman showed last year.
I was gonna say. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet. I was gonna say Kaiir Elam, kind of replace. I know you clicked the.
Yeah, I didn't mean. I thought you were going to go.
You're good. You're good. I think Kaiir Elam is kind of that Eli Apple replacement, that Trey Waynes replacement. That they had a hole at corner last year, and they need a guy who can play man very consistently. And I think that's what Kaiir Elam can end up being. So just go ahead and pretend that's Kaiir Elam. Although I don't hate Kenyon Green there either.
For sure, and I'll tweet this out with the corrected pick right there. For Kaiir Elam, that's my fault. I thought you were going that route, but yeah, I think Kaiir Elam at cornerback. Eli Apple. I know he got clowned on a lot. I think he did a solid job for them. I like what Awuzie did, but I think a cornerback too next to Awuzie in Kaiir Elam could be a great pick right there.
And have for the Cincinnati outside when Awuzie plays the slot, which makes a lot more sense.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Hilton in the slot, so you can either play two guys inside. You can move kind of a Awuzie around as kind of a chess piece because Elam's going to kind of stick as that outside guy.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I think I like him at that outside guy, especially you're going up against, Cleveland got Amari Cooper. Now it's the Bengals definitely have the best receivers in that division. But, AFC, we always talk about it being stacked. Lots of good quarterbacks. You need some guy to cover them right there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's move on to the last pick of the draft, pick 32. Scott, you see Kenny Pickett there. The Lions do need a quarterback. Is that the route you're going at pick 32? Give him the fifth-year option?
I think so. I think if you're not 100% sure on your quarterback, it doesn't make sense to take him in the first round. Give him the first-round contract, give him the fifth-year option. Because if he hits, you've got to re-sign him to a long-term deal after 3 anyway. If he doesn't hit, you get rid of him after 4 and you're done, and it's a cheap contract. And you got a cheap backup. So I'm not comfortable with any quarterback at this point. I don't think any of these quarterbacks are worth this pick. I'm not really comfortable with taking Daxton Hill this high. So it's what do I do? There's a lot of holes on the Lions.
This might be a place where you just go best player available.
Devontae Wyatt is screaming at me because I have him like 14th on my board. He's screaming at me like, why am I here? Why am I here right now? And I'm just like, I got to take him because I want a defense that's going to wreck people. And you do that up front. And
it all starts with the trenches. Defenses win championships.
It starts with the trenches. So he's one of those guys that can play in a 5-tech or a 3-tech or a 1-tech or out at the 7 and just attack and destroy. And that's what they like. And Michael Brockers after this year is probably going to be gone. So you got to replace him. And if you like that bigger defensive end who can still get after the quarterback, I mean, that's your guy. And they do run that offset 4-3 where you have that tighter in defensive end who plays more of a true 5-tech, and on the other side, more of that 9-tech guy. If Aiden's going to be your 9-tech, you want that big, beastly 5-tech, or you even play him as a 3-tech next to Aiden and just attack people with those two every play, every down.
My question here is, I think Wyatt's a good pick here. You look at the rest of their defensive line. I mean, you still have Pinasini, you have Ali McNeil. They're names. So I think he's instantly one of the better players in that group. But what do they have at linebacker? I mean, you have Gerard Davis. Is Tavai still there?
They have another pick in three picks too.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean,
so
there's
you
no
can
rush.
think about it either way. There's no wrong choice here, especially since they're picking 2 picks later, 3 picks later. But a guy like Quay Walker or excuse me, the other any of the Georgia linebackers really. I would even
this way: if you leave Wyatt there and teams have a night to think about it,
they're going to go get him.
He's going at Jacksonville at number.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
I agree with you, and I think now putting it that way, that's the right pick because you have 3 options. I think at linebacker, but I do think the Jags would take one of them. So you got to consider that.
Yeah,
you want to get the one you like.
But here's the thing: would the Jags take one of those guys at linebacker since they have already got Aluakun, who they spent a lot of money on, and Shaq Quarterman, who they really like? So do they truly need a linebacker for that kind of linebacker? They're running more of a 3-4 in this new scheme. So I don't know if they need a linebacker.
Hey, I got to go for like 1 second. I'll be right back.
So.
You're good.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think you really can't go wrong if you're a team rebuilding at pick 32 for best player available. And I do think that he was the best player available. And I like that point, Scott, that you brought up, where if teams are going to sleep on it, they're going to like Jacksonville's going to snag on him with the first pick of the second round at pick 33. I know they have pick 30. It's 34 they have, I believe, if I'm correct about that. But yeah, no, I think you really just got to go with. I think your mentality has to be who would Jacksonville not take here, and who do you want to give that 5th-year option to?
And looking back at it, that I think this is the right pick. You get the 5th-year option on Wyatt, even though he's going to be 29 then, or 28, depending on when you get offering the option. He's 24 now, but I think you can still get one of Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, even Channing Tindall at 34, and be just as happy.
And you could go outside of Georgia for a linebacker too.
Christian Harris.
Take guys in the 3rd round. I mean, you've got so many picks.
They have a lot of picks. They have a lot of needs, but I think this is the right choice here. Bolster the D-line even more.
Absolutely. Let's finish off this with going through the board, and I'm going to tweet this out, obviously. But Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Ahmad Garner, all these guys, I'm not going to read through everyone. But just quickly scrolling, highlighting some picks. First quarterback, Malik Willis to your Falcons, Scott, at pick 8. Jermaine Johnson to the Jets right there. Chris Olave to the Texans. I know we talked about a lot. Things got interesting right here with Charles Cross going to the Eagles, Trevor Penning to the Saints, Drake London falling to the New Orleans Saints. Oh, I forgot to mention Desmond Ritter at pick 9. Steelers getting in quarterback Matt Corral. So 3 quarterbacks going in round 1. And lots of guys falling in the 20s. George Karlaftis, Devin Lloyd, Zion Johnson, George Pickens. Overall, I think this is a very solid draft for all the teams here. And I'm really happy with our work. And I'm really happy that you guys got to make these picks. I'm really happy that you guys all come on. Scott, obviously this was the first time for you coming on the channel. Really had a blast having you on. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Karasik right there. All Around the Block podcast right there. Falcons fan, great follow on Twitter. Just met him today. Already reading through some of his content. Really a fan of it. So thank you so much for coming on, Scott.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Always a good time.
Absolutely. Rohit, Zach, as always, thanks for coming on. To the viewers, thank you so much for watching. I love doing draft content. Got to do another mock draft this year. The 3rd year of doing it, man. We are going strong, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you all so much, and I will see you guys later. See ya.
Peace.
Peace.